You've been lied to all your life. They told you be a good man, treat women well, and virtue will be rewarded. And where has that gotten you? Chasing validation, feeling used, watching other men, often less virtuous in your eyes, command respect and attention effortlessly. The truth, a brutal, unapologetic truth that Machiavelli himself understood centuries ago, is this: the world, especially the world of relationships and female dynamics, does not reward mere goodness. It rewards strength, it rewards strategy, it rewards men who play the mental game, not those who blindly hope for a fair outcome. If you're tired of being manipulated, tired of losing respect, tired of being the nice guy who finishes last, then listen up, because today, we're ripping off the pretty filters and showing you the raw, uncomfortable reality. This isn't about being evil, it's about being effective. It's about understanding the chessboard before you become a pawn. This is your wake-up call, your strategic blueprint to reclaim your power and ensure you're never again caught off guard in the intricate dance of attraction and influence. Miss this, and you'll continue to be a victim of your own naivety. Most people misunderstand Machiavelli. They demonize him, painting him as a proponent of evil, a dark strategist whispering venom into the ears of princes. But that's a superficial reading, a dangerous misinterpretation that keeps you disempowered. Machiavelli wasn't creating a manifesto for villains. He was holding up a mirror to the raw, unvarnished truth of human nature and political power. He wasn't saying how the world should work, but how it does. He exposed the uncomfortable, the fact that virtue, in isolation, without the backing of power and cunning, is often just naive idealism, is agily trampled by those who understand the true mental game. Think of it. You've been conditioned to believe that your inherent goodness, your niceness, should be enough. You were taught that being genuinely virtuous would naturally earn you respect, attract high-value women, and grant you influence. But the world doesn't operate on wishful thinking. It operates on dynamics of strength, leverage, and the ability to navigate emotional control, both your own and others. Machiavelli understood that leadership, whether of a state or of your own life, demands more than just good intentions. It demands a pragmatic, often ruthless, understanding of human psychology, of how to exert influence and prevent manipulation. He showed that the truly effective leader, the man who commands respect, isn't necessarily the best in a moral sense, but the one who is most adept at securing and maintaining his power. This isn't about abandoning your ethics. It's about making them effective. It's about understanding that your virtue, if it leaves you vulnerable, becomes a liability. A masculine strategy acknowledges this reality. It teaches you to protect your boundaries, to calibrate your responses, to become masterful in the emotional chess that dictates so many social interactions. Without this foundational understanding, you're merely a pawn hoping the queen plays fair. This isn't about being bad. It's about being real. It's about equipping yourself with the tools to become a high-value man. A man who isn't easily swayed, a man whose presence commands attention because he understands the intricate dance of power and perception. It's about seeing the hidden currents of influence and manipulation, not to exploit them cruelly, but to navigate them with unshakable emotional control, ensuring you are never again the victim, but always the master of your own destiny. To truly rise above the average, to truly command the respect you deserve, you must first shed the illusion that the world plays by your naive rules. You must learn the rules of the game as they are, not as you wish them to be. But what does this strategic understanding look like in the intimate arena of dating and relationships? In dating, the stakes are arguably even higher because the emotional investment runs deep. Here, the good man, the one who tries to be universally accommodating, often finds himself in a psychological warfare where his very virtues are weaponized against him. Women, often subconsciously, test boundaries. They sniff out weaknesses, not necessarily out of malice, but because they are wired to seek strength and leadership. A man who continually sacrifices his own needs, who says yes to every request, who is afraid to assert himself for fear of upsetting the dynamic, is signaling one thing above all else: he lacks power. He becomes an emotional doormat, an ATM, or a therapist, anything but a desired partner who commands respect. This isn't Machiavelli-level grand strategy being deployed by every woman, but the underlying principles of human nature that Machiavelli so acutely observed are always in play. The nice guy who believes his incessant kindness will eventually be rewarded with affection and admiration is playing a losing hand in this emotional chess. He's demonstrating a profound lack of emotional control over his own desires and boundaries. He's essentially inviting manipulation because he hasn't defined his own value. He hopes to earn respect through submission, a masculine strategy doomed to fail. A high-value man understands this mental game. He knows that true connection, true desire, springs from a place of earned respect and mutual admiration, not from ceaseless appeasement. He sets clear boundaries, not to be a jerk, but to protect his energy, his time, and his self. He understands that if you allow others to dictate your worth, you have none. He doesn't just react, he acts with intention. He's not swayed by tears or guilt trips because his emotional control is ironclad. He knows that when he consistently yields, He teaches others to exploit his generosity, solidifying his role as a resource, not a partner. This isn't about becoming cold or uncaring, it's about becoming discerning. It's about wielding your kindness strategically, not indiscriminately. It's about understanding that your value isn't proportional to your self-sacrifice. So, how do you cultivate this unshakable inner core, this discernment that transforms you from a vulnerable target into an unassailable high-value man, especially when faced with the relentless pressures of a modern world designed to pull you in 1,000 directions? It begins with a ruthless internal audit, a stark confrontation with your own non-negotiables. This isn't about arrogance, it's about establishing an unshakable inner constitution. You cultivate this core by first defining your own value, not by waiting for it to be bestowed upon you like a royal decree. Power, as Machiavelli so keenly observed, is not something you politely request. It is something you assert and, if necessary, take. It's an active claim, not a passive hope. To be a high-value man, you must internalize this truth. Your worth is inherent, not contingent upon external validation or the capricious whims of others. The world, and especially relationships, is a perpetual mental game. Those who understand this, who master their emotional control, are the ones who dictate the terms. The moment you cede this control, the moment you let external reactions or desires dictate your inner state, you become susceptible to manipulation. Think of it as psychological warfare. Your emotional state is the battleground. If you allow pity, guilt, or the desire for approval to be weaponized against you, you've already lost significant ground. Your masculine strategy, therefore, must be one of unyielding self-respect. This means setting boundaries with a quiet conviction, not with aggressive posturing. It means walking away from situations or people who consistently drain your energy, or diminish your self-worth, not as a punishment, but as an act of self-preservation. This isn't about being cold or unfeeling, it's about being strategically warm, deliberately kind. You choose where to invest your emotional currency. True respect is not earned by endlessly giving. It's forged in the crucible of self-definition and the consistent demonstration of your own standards. A man who demands respect, not through words but through his presence, his actions, and his unyielding commitment to his own path, is a man who naturally wields power. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. His quiet certainty is louder than any declaration. This isn't about becoming an island, but about building an impenetrable fortress around your core identity. It's understanding that to avoid manipulation, you must become unmanipulable from within. This internal fortification is the bedrock upon which all outward displays of power are built, transforming you from a man who hopes for recognition into one who commands it. But how do you project this newfound inner power outwardly, in your interactions, in your negotiations, in every arena where respect and influence are paramount? The projection of inner power begins not with what you say, but with what you don't say. It commences with the masterful deployment of strategic silence. This isn't merely the absence of sound, it's a deliberate weapon, a shield, a strategic vacuum you create around yourself. When you speak less, you reveal less. This is fundamental to psychological warfare. Every word uttered is a data point, a potential weakness for your adversaries, or even unwitting associates, to exploit. The less raw data you provide, the less ammunition they have to craft narratives, misunderstand your motives, or even worse, attempt manipulation. Think of the greatest chess masters. They don't explain their every move, they simply make it. Their silence speaks volumes, forcing opponents to speculate, to overthink, to exhaust themselves trying to decipher your intent in the void you've deliberately created. This mastery of the pause, the deliberate withholding, is a core aspect of true emotional control. A high-value man understands the immense, almost gravitational power in withholding, while others clamor for attention, desperately filling every conversational pause with their opinions, their anxieties, their need for validation. You are doing something far more potent. You are observing. This isn't passive watching, it's active, surgical intelligence gathering. You're not just hearing words, you're deciphering motives, identifying patterns in behavior, assessing vulnerabilities and strengths in real time. This is the true mental game. You're learning their tells, their fears, their aspirations, all while they remain oblivious, convinced they are in control of the narrative. This acute observation is your reconnaissance, giving you an unparalleled strategic advantage in any interaction. Machiavelli, the ultimate strategist, understood this implicitly. To effectively wield power, one must first understand the true landscape and the true nature of the players within it, not just their stated intentions. By consciously adopting this masculine strategy of strategic silence and penetrating observation, you elevate yourself above the common fray. You become an enigma, a man whose thoughts are carefully guarded, whose intentions are opaque. This naturally fosters profound respect. People are inherently drawn to what they don't fully comprehend. To the man who doesn't lay all his cards on the table, whose well of wisdom seems deeper because he doesn't spill its contents thoughtlessly, they respect the reserved strength, the quiet confidence that radiates from a man who is clearly processing more than he's revealing. This calculated approach is the most effective antidote to manipulation. You become the one who sees all, while remaining largely unseen and therefore untouchable. You protect your energy, your strategic position, and maintain an inner calm that others can only envy. The power here is not in overt dominance, but in strategic positioning, in being the quiet force that subtly guides the current without ever seeming to strain. This mastery of the unspoken, this command over your own reactions and revelations, is what separates the players from the pieces in the grand emotional chess match. But while silence and observation lay the groundwork for immense influence, the precise timing and content of your actual communication are equally critical. And that, my friend, is where true influence begins to take shape. The moment you choose to break that calculated silence, your words must not be random noise, but strategic artillery. This is where the true mental game begins, where every syllable is a potential move on the chessboard. A high-value man understands that his voice is a formidable instrument of power, not a mere sounding board for fleeting thoughts or reactive emotions. This demands absolute emotional control. You don't speak to fill a void. You speak to create impact, to shift the narrative, to sculpt reality. Think of it. Machiavelli wasn't just observing, he was formulating principles of communication that could sway empires. Your words, similarly, must be crafted with an understanding of human psychology, designed to achieve a specific outcome. Are you asserting dominance? Are you inspiring loyalty? Are you subtly disarming an opponent? Every utterance must serve a purpose within your overarching masculine strategy. When you finally speak, after your period of astute observation, your words carry the gravitas of careful consideration. People listen differently. They assign greater weight to your pronouncements because they know you don't speak carelessly. This is how you cultivate deep respect. Your communication becomes a deliberate act of influence, a masterful way to guide situations without resorting to overt manipulation. You don't beg or plead. You state, you command, you inform, with the quiet authority of a man who knows his position and his purpose. It's about understanding that a well-placed question can unravel an adversary's entire argument, or a carefully chosen statement can solidify alliances. Your language becomes a precision instrument, designed to cut through noise and deliver your message with clarity and unshakable conviction. This isn't about being verbose, it's about being incisive. It's about knowing exactly which lever to pull with your words, exactly which chord to strike. This disciplined approach to communication transforms you from a mere participant to a strategic orchestrator. You move beyond simply reacting to the world to actively shaping it with your deliberate pronouncements. You are no longer merely absorbing information. You are dispensing it with purpose, each word a step towards your objective, a testament to your unyielding emotional control. This strategic use of language, this conscious deployment of your voice, is what separates the weak from the strong, the influenced from the influential. But while what you say and how you say it are crucial, the context in which you deliver these messages often dictates their ultimate success or failure. This isn't just about the words you choose. It's about the strategic void you create by not speaking, the pressure generated by your silence. A true master of this masculine strategy understands that the most impactful messages are often delivered without a single utterance. It's a profound act of emotional control to hold your tongue when every instinct screams to react, to defend, to explain. But in that silence, you project an undeniable aura of power. Consider the psychological battlefield. When you maintain a deliberate quiet, especially in moments of tension or confrontation, you force others to operate in a vacuum. They don't know your hand. They're left to guess, to project their own fears and assumptions onto your stoic presence. This is where the mental game is won. You become an unreadable opponent, a figure whose thoughts are inaccessible, whose intentions are opaque. This isn't about crude manipulation in the common sense. It's a sophisticated leveraging of human psychology, an understanding that uncertainty breeds deference. This principle, often attributed to figures like Machiavelli, isn't about being deceitful, but about understanding the levers of influence in human behavior. It's about knowing when to reveal and, more importantly, when to conceal. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back the anxieties of those who face you. They're left to confront their own insecurities, while you remain steadfast, observing. This unshakable poise, this calm in the storm, cultivates genuine respect and solidifies your position as a high-value man. You don't chase validation. You radiate an inherent authority that others are drawn to, or, in some cases, are made to submit to. Your presence, therefore, becomes a form of communication in itself, a nonverbal declaration of strength, self-possession, and an unwavering resolve. It communicates that you are not easily swayed, not easily provoked, and certainly not easily defined. This disciplined restraint demonstrates a profound level of self-mastery, a rare commodity in a world saturated with noise and constant self-promotion. You don't need to announce your strength. Your very being becomes its testament. This quiet command is about controlling the narrative by controlling your own output. You dictate the pace, you control the information flow, and you force others to engage on your terms. This is a subtle yet devastating form of tactical advantage. It's an inner strength that manifests externally, creating an impression that words often fail to achieve. But how does this translate into actionable real-world interactions? How do you apply this silent power in specific social and professional arenas without coming across as merely aloof or disengaged? This disciplined silence is your ultimate masculine strategy, a Machiavellian understanding that true power isn't declared, but felt through your unwavering emotional control and mastery of the mental game. It ensures respect and solidifies your status as a high-value man, turning potential manipulation into an opportunity for leverage. Tell me, have you ever felt manipulated by someone's silence or, perhaps, used it yourself to gain the upper hand? Share your insights below. To continue uncovering these profound strategies most men never discover, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Up next, learn how to turn every rejection into a stepping stone for undeniable success. Stay sharp, gentlemen.